The March 40 was an experimental six-wheeled Formula One car developed by March Engineering in Bicester, UK. It was built in late 1976 and tested in early 1977. This car was inspired by the success of Tyrrell Racing's six-wheeled Tyrell P34 in Formula One racing. Despite this, the engineering concept of the 240 was distinctly different. The front wheels of an open-wheeled F1 car create aerodynamic drag. The idea behind the Tyrrell P34 was to reduce this drag by using smaller diameter tires at the front. While conventional F1 front wheels measured around 16 inches, 40 centimeters in diameter, Tyrrell planned to use 10-inch, 25 centimeters diameter wheels. To compensate for the resulting loss of front-end grip, they incorporated two front wheels per side, which increased grip, while reducing drag. The design also allowed all four front wheels to steer the car. The P34 achieved reasonable success, with two cars finishing 1-2 at the 1976 Swedish Grand Prix. The Tyrrell team also secured 3rd and 4th overall in the championship. However, the car was less successful in 1977, and the concept was eventually abandoned. Reasons included Goodyear's inability to match the development of the special tires with those of standard-sized tires used by other teams, and the added weight from the P34's complex four-wheel front suspension assembly. For a more detailed look at the Tyrrell P34, check out our video, link in the description. Phase 2S. At March Engineering in Bicester, designer Robin Hurd closely observed the P34 experiment, and by late 1976, concluded that the four front wheels concept might be a dead end. He believed the aerodynamic improvements at the front were largely negated by the rear tires, which at 24 inches, 60 centimeters in diameter, still accounted for 30 to 40% of the car's total drag. Hurd also thought that the extra grip would be more beneficial if applied to the driven wheels of a modern rear-wheel drive F1 car. With this in mind, Hurd designed a six-wheeled car with four driven wheels at the rear, all with the same 16-inch diameter. His theory was that with all six tires the same size as regular F1 front tires, the car would not only be slimmer than typical F1 cars, but also have improved aerodynamic performance at the rear, with cleaner air passing over the wing. Four driven wheels would provide better traction, and unlike the Tyrrell, there would be no tire development issues, since the car would use the same rubber as a conventional F1 car. Hurd named this concept 240, using the white notation for railway rolling stock: 2 leading wheels, 4 driven wheels, and 0 trailing wheels. With the apparent technical advantages of this concept laid out, Max Mosley, Hurd's partner at March Cars, approved the construction of a prototype. Mosley observed that the P34 had garnered significant publicity for Tyrrell, and believed that, aside from the technical merits, a March six-wheeler would be appealing to potential sponsors. However, the March team faced financial difficulties in 1976 and 1977, and developing an entirely new six-wheel car would be costly. As a compromise, team mechanic Wayne Eckersley adapted a 1976 Cosworth DFV-powered March 761 in a quiet corner of the Bicester factory, using existing parts from the factory stores wherever possible. A crucial feature of a car with four driven rear wheels was the transmission. An ingenious gearbox design was needed to minimize frictional power losses, while being strong enough to handle the higher torsional and flexural stresses from the close-coupled four-wheel drive system. Hurd's original gearbox design included strengthening ribs to counteract the additional loading. However, due to the complexity and expense of producing such a casting, some ribs were removed from the drawing as a cost-cutting measure. The design used a standard Hewland F1 gearbox for the first axle, with a new casing, gears, and an extended pinion for the second axle. This meant any 761 chassis could be easily adapted if the concept proved workable. Once the 240 was partially built, the press was invited to the factory in late November 1976 to view the secret project. The unveiling generated significant interest, with articles in several motorsport magazines and a photograph on the cover of the 2nd of December 1976 issue of Autosport magazine. The company also announced plans for a full running demonstration and developmental testing at Silverstone Circuit, scheduled for 2 weeks later. The first test took place at Silverstone in late 1976. Unfortunately, on the initial lap, the gearbox casing flexed and the gears became unmeshed. No immediate solution could be found, and so the rear crown wheel and pinion were removed for the rest of the day's testing. Effectively, the 240 had become a two-wheel drive car again. Fortunately for March, it was a wet day at the circuit and the driver Howden Ganley could not push the car too fast. Consequently, the test was reported as a success by the media. The problems on the first lap highlighted the fact that the car needed a new, stronger gearbox casing and a serious development program. Unable to afford the time and resources that this would require, the 240 project was deprioritized by the company. In February 1977, the car, now fitted with a stronger gearbox, ran again at Silverstone with driver Ian Scheckter at the wheel. Although it was another wet day, the car was run up and down the hangar straight and, with four-driven wheels, Scheckter reported that the traction was incredible. Additionally, the events of the day again made Autosport magazine's front page, dated the 10th of February 1977. But this was the end of 240's F1 development history. On its reappearance at the Belgium GP in June, the converted 761 chassis had been reconfigured as a conventional four-wheeler. Despite only limited success in short-duration racing events, the 240 concept was never disproven. It's possible that with a weight reduction program using stronger and lighter materials and improvements to the car's handling, the 240 could have been successful in F1. The concept would have been well suited to the emerging ground effect technology in Grand Prix racing. The Williams F1 team appeared to agree with Hurd's theory as they built and tested a 240 style six-wheeler, the FAW08B, in 1982. However, any hopes of seeing a 240 style car compete in a Grand Prix were dashed when the FIA banned all four-wheel drive systems in this category. The FW08B is now displayed in the Williams Factory Museum. The March 2nd 40 story had a silver lining for the company. As Max Mosley predicted, the car garnered significant publicity. Additionally, the Scalextric company purchased the rights to produce and market a best-selling 1/32 scale slot racing replica, generating significant income for the team. As of May 2013, the March 2nd 40 was housed in the Lauman collection in The Hague, Netherlands, and it was raced at the 2014 Olten Park Gold Cup.